right. Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, so we are on live Facebook, YouTube, and the Roku channel. So we are here doing the Good News Game Plan with Coach Joe Kelly.
Hello, Tim. How are you? How are you today? How are things going with you?
I'm great. Things are good.
Kids good.
Early. Everybody's home safe.
Well, that is good. That is good. Loads of good news going on. We have all sorts. I think they say we're up to 1 million shots a day. People are getting in the vaccine, so we have a light at the end of that tunnel. There's natural immunity going on. There's the kids had half a snow day today. That's always kind of cool, isn't it? They called half a day, even though the snow was not much. It was a little bit of a dusting. I went out in the beginning parts of it, a little skidding around, but obviously I went to the parking lot, did a few donuts. You got to do that when it's snowing out. So I did a little of that. What about you, Tim? Did you go to the train station parking lot and do donuts as well?
Not today, but I've done that. And I've done that when my kids were little. I brought them out and we drove around a little bit. You always got to go out and have some fun.
You always have to enjoy the snow because I don't want a lot of it. A little bit every once in a while is good, but when it sticks around and freezes and gets slushy, and well, that's just not as fun as that snow day. When it's snowing, it's white, it's bright, it's just cheerful, and I certainly enjoy that. So we had a nice little half a snow day today. We have some great guests tonight. We have the new fire chief, Joe McHugh. He's going to be joining us, and we have youth rugby czar Jeff Murphy will be joining us as well. So why don't we bring Joe in now, and I will say hello to Joe and get to know Joe a little bit. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hey, Coach. Hey, Tim. How you doing?
All right.
We're doing great. So tell us what's good news with you, because we always start off with a little discussion about good news, because this is the Good News Game Plan. What's good news going on in Greenwich as far as what's going on in your world? Even if you have to go outside Greenwich a little bit, tell us just what's good news.
Well, some of the good news is our members are starting to get their vaccines and starting to go for the second rounds of vaccines, which is good news. Another thing, I started going back to the gym. That's good news too.
I saw you there. That's a fact. That's where we ran into each other. I was sure.
Right, exactly.
We have Drew, who's been on the show a little bit. Drew's a big fella. You got to meet Drew. He's our fourth son. He moved in recently. He's been with us a couple of months, and we're getting him to work out because he's just turned 17. He's 6'3", 300 pounds, and he's a monster. So we'll get him to work out and protect our quarterback this year. He wants to play defensive line. I think he's an offensive lineman, but we'll see where he ends up.
No doubt about it. He's an offensive tackle.
Well, you played a little football in your day, is my guess.
That was a long time ago, though. Yeah. Now, everything else is good. Everything's good. The fire department. We just gave a test for a new training chief. We just hired 4 new hirees yesterday. 4 young men and a young lady, all great backgrounds and qualifications. We're looking forward to having them in the fire department.
Well, now, how long did you take the helm as the chief of the Greenwich Fire Department? How long ago did you take that job?
September 14th is my first day.
September 14th.
So we're working on maybe 4 months, So it's been great. It's been really nice. Met a lot of great people along the way. And within the department, there's tremendous people. Obviously, within the town, there's great people. And within the town, government, everybody's been nothing but wonderful to me and helpful. And it's been an absolute true joy so far.
Well, I enjoyed. I served for 10 years with Emma Jerome, so I was a local fireman. I guess you never really stop. You just don't stay current. Is that how it really goes?
We used to say that when I grew up, I wanted to be a fireman, but we used to say you can't do both. So you can't grow up and be a fireman. So.
Good point. Well, when I grew up, as we were just talking about before in the pre-show a little bit, I grew up in Breezy Point, Queens, and I spent a lot of time and played a lot of rugby with the Rockaway Rugby Club. And the number one job, if you're a person from Rockaway, the number one job you could possibly get in the entire world is the New York Fire Department.
Yes.
And unfortunately for me, I was not good at test taking, so I did not become a police officer or a fireman. But that was the number one job when you were growing up in that part of Queens. So it was certainly I enjoy or envious of the career you must have had.
The Rockaways, the people, the members from the Rockaways were always very unique individuals. I mean, great people, no doubt about it. Great people. But it was Rockapolco, they used to call it.
Rockapolco, exactly. Well, my mother still lives down there, so we get down there a couple times during the summer, and we certainly enjoy going down there. And my brother Tim, who is a volunteer fireman as well, he served up here in Greenwich while we had a construction business up here. He served as well. So we had both the Kelly brothers as volunteer firemen, and my brother Bill. There's 5 Kelly brothers. My brother Bill is in New Jersey. He's a volley as well. So I became a volley after I responded. I was down at downtown for 9/11. I was standing under the building when it got hit, and
right.
I got out of there quickly. But my brothers and myself returned to ground zero the next morning, and we worked through the rubble for a while. And then after about 3 days of working down there, somebody asked us to. They said, "Do you have any credentials?" And any credentials at all? We didn't, so they asked us to leave. We wanted to stay more, so all of us got out of there and all became volunteer firemen. In case something like that happened again, we'd have our credentials.
Well, I'll hope that never happens again. I pray for that.
Oh yeah, certainly we don't want that to happen again. But watching the spirit, the attitude of everybody throughout that period of time was just incredible. It was inspiring. It's been a life change. Was a life changer for me. Watching the people pull together during that time. So that was something. I lost a few good friends. We lost a few Iona fellas, a few Rockaway fellas. So we certainly lost a lot of people. But seeing everyone come together at that time was inspiring. So tell me, Joe.
And people cheering for you and stuff like that it definitely boosted your spirits.
Well, now you tell me about your career. Let's go a little earlier than that. Now, did you grow up in Greenwich, or you have some?
I grew up in Greenwich, and my father was a firefighter in Greenwich. So every time he was working, I would get that was my joy of going to see him at the firehouse. Like my mom would bring him dinner or lunch or whatever, and that was like the best thing for me to do as a little kid. I'd walk around the firehouse and think I was in the Caldors or Woolworths during Christmas time back in the day. You know what I mean? It was just every day. It was ecstatic. It's always wanted to be a fireman, and then I just followed my dreams. I joined the fire department of Sound Beach in 1984, and then I fulfilled my dream of becoming a New York City firefighter in 1991.
Well, fantastic. Tell me about your career with the New York City Fire Department.
It was a very good career. I still my heart still always have a place in my heart for the FDNY. But it started in 1991, where I worked in Ladder 25 in Manhattan, and I was there until 2002, and met a lot of great people. My first captain was very tough. He was very tough on us, so which was a good thing in the long run. When you worked with him, you're always a little intimidated, but then when he would always try and quiz you on stuff, and of course I never got any of the things he asked me right, so I was always wrong.
Of course.
And then obviously I was there for 9/11 when we lost 7 of our firefighters on 9/11, and then in 2002 I got promoted to lieutenant. I went up to the Bronx and I worked there for 5 years, and then I went back to Manhattan. And as a captain, I was a captain of the firehouse right across from Ground Zero, that ladder 10, engine 10 and ladder 10. I was a captain of ladder 10. Mm-hmm. So then I got promoted battalion chief and worked in the Bronx for a while. And I got involved in safety, which was our safety division, our safety command, our safety battalion. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my career. I learned so many things. And what the safety command does for the FDNY is we investigate all of our serious injuries, all of our line of duty deaths of firefighters, and all of our apparatus accidents. So it was very interesting. I got a lot of special training, met a lot of great people, and it was a great experience. I had a wonderful 29 years. I wouldn't trade in for a world.
Well, as I said, growing up where I grew up, that was the number one job to have, and you were certainly living the Rockaway dream, even though you're a Greenwich guy. But
yeah.
The Rockaway dream carries on for you, because you not only did you serve and serve well and get promoted within the New York City Fire Department, but then you came home and found a wonderful opportunity at home to be in charge of the fire department here in Greenwich.
By full circle, it was great. Never in a million years did I ever think, dream of this happening. And then, it was kind of just, the Chief Pete left in June, and I just kind of thought about it. I was like, how great would it be to come back home? And my mom still lives here. My in-laws still live here. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mrs. A, if you're watching. My wife works here, so and I've only lived right over the border in Portchester. I used to be able to jog from Greenwich. I don't know if I could do that anymore. I get there a little quicker by driving my car now. But anyway, so I never really left. I just changed states one town over. So it really is. It's been a dream come true. Working with some great men and women in this department, of the Greenwich Fire Department, it's definitely has been a wonderful surprise. Not surprise, but pleasant surprise, I should say. It's been a good thing.
When I met you on the campaign trail, when I was out shaking hands and saying hello to everybody, and I met you and they introduced you as the new fire chief, I said you could not go to central casting, and in my mind, and find the typical fire chief guy, look like, act like, be the fire chief guy than you were, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
You come from New York Fire Department, so that's great training. That's the best fire department in the world. And then you find yourself coming home in Greenwich, where you have roots. And then you get that bigger than life presence. You walk into a room and everybody just gravitates towards you. So it's great. So I certainly expect big things. And I know I've been a big supporter of the fire department, as I mentioned, for a long time. And I'm so looking forward to you doing great things with our fire company, because we have a history of great fire leaders in our community. So I'm sure you'll be able to keep that going in a positive way. What else do you do in the community as far as involvement, or what do you do personally?
I used to coach the Crushers. Well, my son was playing football for the Crushers. Then I used to coach baseball here in Port Chester. But now my son's a freshman in high school, so there's no more coaching anymore. No more daddy ball. Not that my son ever got any special treatment, but I think it's more. He needs to be taught by real coaches and stuff like that. So I was doing that. I'm a member of the Knights in Columbus. So. Just trying to keep busy and get ready for my daughter going off to college next year.
Well, what sport does your son play in the spring?
He plays baseball and football.
Oh, baseball and football. So that rugby stuff's not something. No. We'll keep an eye on him. So we get a lot of the baseball kids migrate over to the rugby stuff. So we'll take a look at that.
Too happy if he's playing rugby.
We have some great coaches at the high school, as you know, and yes. I was a coach at the high school for 10 years. I really enjoyed we have a great athletic director. We have a great program there, and we're working on getting that new stadium all set up. We're very close to that.
That's awesome that happens.
We got our building, not our building permit, but our permits from planning and zoning. Now we have a couple of I's to dot and T's to cross. We're in meetings all day long about that today. So hopefully we'll have that set by graduation this year. So we're excited about that.
That's great. That's
so the class of 2021 had a rough go. So hopefully that'll be a bright moment for them when they can see that shiny new stadium and we can bring that to fruition. That'll be great.
My daughter's graduating this year. My heart breaks for the seniors this year. It really does.
It's been a real tough cycle for them, and hopefully we can do something real nice for them once things clear up, once we get to the end of this pandemic, because there's a lot of good. We should take all the energy that's built up, all the positivity, and somehow share that with the community. And we have a town party every year. Let's have like a town party every weekend once we're allowed to come out. Let's have something for the graduates, something for the kids that missed out.
Age 18.
Well, that's it.
Weekend.
Exactly. Let's have some sort of big celebration.
Yeah, I agree. They deserve it. They really do.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, for all of them, for these kids, my daughter missed band. All these young boys and girls missing their sports and everything like that. Really, my heart breaks for them.
Oh, it's tough. We're sitting on the board of ed and trying our best to keep everything in motion and keep everything active. We've had a great superintendent stepping up, and we are sort of the leader in school, opposed to our neighbors who chose to do more of a hybrid situation. Under the high school, we were hybrid, but the lower schools we went full time, and it worked out very well for everybody. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll keep that going, and we'll keep the positive attitude as best we can. Yeah. Now, Joe, is there something out there that you want to promote, some business you have, some charity, some involvement in town that you want to mention to the community as they maybe watch this?
No, not so much charity. We just want to promote. I want to promote our department. We work very hard and with our career and volunteer people and giving us the best service to the town of Greenwich. It was really good to see how hard, because right now with the COVID, we can't train as much as we used to, but to see how hard all of our members train to hone their skills. And, my thing is I want to promote the fire department, when we can. The people of our town need to know, what a great organization they do have, and not so much charities, not that there's some great charities out there. I don't really have any particular ones. But I really want to promote our fire department and for our residents to see how lucky they are to have us.
Well, we should bring some sort of community event where, because I know in the training it was so much fun to squirt the hoses and get on the ladders and things like that, and light stuff on fire and put it out. I don't know if we could go to the extent of lighting stuff on fire, but we could certainly let them squirt hoses and things like that.
I might not be a fan of a 5K run, but maybe like a hot dog eating contest.
Maybe we'll do something like that for sure.
Yeah,
But
chili cook-off or something.
But Joe, stay with us for a second because we have Jeff Murphy who's going to come on up. Tim has something to say. Tim wants to jump in for a second. Go ahead, Tim.
I just about the fire department. Which maybe people want to know what percentage is paid firemen versus volunteers, and do you need volunteers?
We always need volunteers. You can always reach out to our volunteers coordinator if they want to become volunteers. It's a great way to serve your community. So right now, with breakdowns I don't know about percentages, but we have about 104 career staff. Yeah, that includes like our on-duty firefighters. There's 3 firefighters at all the firehouses in Greenwich, and there's 7 at the firehouse downtown. And then we have about, I would say, 85 to 100 volunteers. So it's about 50-50 maybe, give or take. And I'm fortunate with when I came in September. So we had to throw all these, kind of restrictions in, and there's safety precautions with the COVID. And I'm still looking forward to work with everybody. So.
Great.
Yep.
Well, that's good to know. We could always use more volunteers. That's good to know.
Yeah. It's a great way to serve especially for the young people. Especially the young people coming back from college. It's a great way to serve. Or it's also we're trying to work with the schools and the younger kids, like maybe my son's age, who are freshmen or even 8th grade for an Explorer program. But again, like right now, we can't do any of that stuff with the COVID.
Right.
When it comes to fire, I just have to add one thing about firemen. I think it's kind of cool, and I just can't get the feeling out of my mind. Joe, you've probably done this so many times, it doesn't have that thrill anymore. But when you're in the truck and you're screaming down the road and cars are pulling out of your way, everyone's waving you on, you're going past and through red lights, your heart starts to beat. I did it not certainly nowhere near as many times as you have, Joe, but the times I've done that, it's just so exciting. And at the end of it, it's most likely a false alarm or something like that. But just the thrill of the horn beeping and the noise and the cars getting out of your way.
Get your adrenaline going, no doubt about it.
It's just a thrill. Now we have Jeff Murphy coming. Jeff's the youth rugby in our community czar. He does a fine job organizing all that stuff. And Jeff, one thing we do though, Joe, is we ask the guest who's waiting in the green room to possibly have a question or two for the parting guest. So Jeff, have you come up with anything for Joe?
Yeah, look. Hi, Chief. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you, Joe. Pleasure. It seems like a pretty tough operating environment for you guys. What's the morale like, for the team, and what can we as citizens do to help? And when things were more normal, like at the end of our rugby tournaments and stuff, if we had extra sandwiches and beverages, we'd always drop them off at one of the firehouses, that kind of thing.
No, but Jeff, that's a great question, because that's one of the things that has concerned me, because with the COVID, we have kind of locked out our volunteer firefighters because we want to try and prevent any sort of spread within the firehouses. So morale gets a little tough. When I was a volunteer fireman, all I wanted to do is hang around the firehouse, and now unfortunately we can't. So that's why, and also the public's not in and out of the firehouses because of the fact that we have to be safe for our families and our workforce. But that's what we're hoping to get ourselves out there, and hopefully really soon. The numbers are starting to get favorable. Hopefully get ourselves back to a little bit of normalcy with still some precautions, and then hopefully maybe by the warmer weather, then we get ourselves back out there. But that is a wonderful question. That's always been my concern with morale and stuff like that. 'Cause right now it's tough. Wearing masks around the firehouses all the time, and the camaraderie is kind of separating a little bit because of being away from each other.
You let us know at any time. I'm willing to do whatever I can do. I know I'm a little past my service days, maybe, but who knows? I'm still fit. I could still go out there and do some exercise. Maybe I always say I'll rejoin again and start going to training, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything we can do to help with the fire department, you just let us know. We're happy to be part of that. And Joe, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for talking to the community about what you're doing. We'll certainly see you around. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom. See you guys later. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be on the show, and I'd love to come back.
All right, we'll see you, Joe. Take care now. Hello, Jeff. How are you
Well,
doing, Jeff?
Kelly, I'm doing great.
How was life in the green room? Was it okay? Did they feed you well? Did you have some sandwiches?
It was a little lonely, but I managed.
Excellent. Jeff, you know what? I've known you for some time now, and you've been so very helpful with the youth program and organizing that, because not a lot of people like myself are very big on organization. What we like to do is I like getting in front of the athletes and working with them, and that's where my strength is, working with the athletes. And I try to surround myself with when I was at the high school with guys that would be able to help me with some of the things that maybe I'm not good at. But not only did you help me with the team I worked with at the OGRCC, but you did all the teams. You did all the work. You would do everything for everybody. You do the uniforms. You do all the scheduling. You do all the insurance work. You even came up with that great new logo. We talked about how there was a difference between Greenwich Rugby and the OGRCC, and you worked together to bring both those organizations together and marrying to a brand that actually both organizations are now proud of and behind. So that was clever, great. Now that's one of the few things that you do. But tell us, Jeff, about some of the things you do now in the OGRCC.
So before I start, I have to give full credit for the logo to the men's team, because it was their design, and then we just adapted it to incorporate the youth program so that it's integrated. So I don't want to take credit for stuff I don't do. I started out as a coach, and like you, that was the thing that really, sort of draws me to it. But I think things evolve. I'm on the board of the OGRCC. I spent a lot of time over the last year making sure that we were in a good financial position during the shutdowns, because all of our revenues come from running the programs for the kids and the adults, and it was all shut down. I also led our reopening committee to make sure that we had the right protocols in place to allow both the athletes and the parents and the town, public health officials, make sure that we were in a good position, and we were able to get baseball off in the summer and soccer, and then even a rugby program in the fall. And then I spend a lot of time, as you rattled off, making sure that rugby works, and increasingly focused on not just the youth program, but expanding that, making sure we've got avenues for girls, and hopefully at some point women's rugby, in addition to the men's team. And we're trying to turn it into a club, not just a program. It's really trying to be the Greenwich Rugby Club, and working with Mike, your replacement, and Aaron, who's running the girls team, to make sure we've got the best top to bottom program anywhere around.
Well, great. All the stuff you do is fantastic. And one thing and I'm going to ask this because you have some personal involvement in this making sure social equalization, social sensitivity, it's important. Now tell me, do you feel okay the fact that you're a Canadian, that anybody mistreats you at the OGRCC here in Greenwich? Do you find any problems with that?
No, as you know, Canadians are quite mild-mannered. We're kind of malleable. We just get by.
Excellent. Well, that's good. That's a positive thing. And this is the Good News Show, so we try to keep it all good news. Now, Jeff, you did promise me some good news. Do you have some good news to share with us?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, and I know when you and I get together, almost all our conversations about rugby, so this is probably no different. But I think rugby in Greenwich is in really good shape. I noted that the high school came to a deal with the Dalio Foundation to give them some funding. We've struck a 3-year deal with Danone North America to sponsor the OGRCC based teams, and so we'll be promoting the sort of healthy living brands with their yogurts like Oikos, Danimals for the kids, Activia for the ladies, and we're trying to have a little bit more corporate sponsorship to help grow, in particular, the girls' side of the game and the women's side of the game, because I think that's important. It's a great game, and what it teaches you about character and problem solving and leadership skills is very different than any other sport. And so, that funding is going to help grow that, and hopefully also start to do more on the west side of town, what we've been able to do for the high school program with the east side of town, which is really get you that core leadership group of players that are ready to go when they get to high school. And I think it'll just help continuing to make, rugby here in town successful.
Well, I was always proud of the numbers. Now at the high school, we were always a little behind the football team. We were running about 170 kids through the freshman JV, A and B programs of Varsity A and Varsity B. But then a couple of years back, we brought in the girls program. And I remember trying to sign up girls. Mike Fina and Aaron went around trying to sign up girls. And they got about 11 or 12 agreeing to come out on the first day of practice. When they announced the first day of practice, they only expected that. They had 50 girls showed up. Yeah. So between the 50 girls and the 175 guys, Jeff, you're good in math. What's that, about 800?
Yeah, or 225 maybe.
225. So 225, it became the most popular sport in Greenwich High School, and by numbers wise. And that also, the numbers you guys have at the OGRCC. What numbers do you have as far as the youth programs from the little guys? What age do they start?
So we start at under 6, and there it's really more gameplay and that kind of thing. And we go all the way up in the fall. We actually run at the high school's 7-a-side programs because it's off season. And then in the spring, we just run U6 to U14. I think the highest we ever had was a couple hundred in U6 to U14 in the spring. Numbers go up and down a little bit, but we always are non-COVID times, 150, 200. We capped numbers in the fall and still had 150 kids.
Excellent.
Just to manage the distancing and the numbers and things. And to me, the most exciting thing was, our first time ever we had, I think it started out to be, it's similar. We were supposed to have 7 girls come out, and we ended up with like 15 by the end. And so that they had a great time. We had a really good time having them. And I think it's great for the core of that group to develop on behalf of the high school too.
Yeah, the attitude's great. Now, tell me, Jeff, tell me about yourself. When did you move to Greenwich? Where you're from? Give us a little background on yourself, because you don't get to ask this question usually in normal conversation. So that's what we try to do in this program, to introduce Jeff Murphy to the community a little bit.
Sure. So I'm Canadian. I was born in Vancouver on the West Coast. My family was in the heavy construction industry, so lived all over everywhere. My family spent 4 years in Iran in the 70s, and then 4 years in Argentina. I went back and finished high school in Vancouver, and that's when I started to play rugby. And then went to university in the U.S., business school up in Boston, where I met my wife. And then I was a investment banker for 25 years. We split some of that time between here and London. And so I'm a relatively recent Greenwich resident, only having moved here in 2011.
Oh, 2011. Okay. I thought you were a little longer than that. You seem like you've got deeper roots, but you know what? That's just the kind of guy you are. You get yourself all embedded in things, and before you know it, you're all entwined in it. So that's quite good. Well, that's our benefit to have you around and doing things like that. So I'm looking forward to working with, because I can't, as we all know, we can't coach at the high school anymore because of my decision to no longer look after 175 kids, to look after 9,000 kids. And I enjoy that. It's very rewarding. I'm enjoying my time at the Board of Education. I really miss coaching high school, but I could work with your program. So the next season coming up, I certainly hope to be able to contribute in a meaningful way in some age group and some group. But now, Jeff, let me ask you, as we wind down a little bit here, Tim tries to keep us to a half-hour show, and it's just, we can go on all night talking to you. I'm so thrilled at our conversation. It's so good. But what is there anything that you would like to talk specifically about, that something you'd like to promote a little bit, that you want the community? Because Tim, what do we have, about 7,000 or 8,000 people watching this show tonight? Did you do the numbers yet?
I think we broke 10,000 viewers.
10,000 viewers.
Yep.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's not true, but we'll say that's really good.
Well, when you combine all the shows we've done, we have 10,000 viewers. Okay.
Well, that's good. It's all good. It's good news. So, Jeff, what do you have on your mind that that you'd like to talk about, that you'd like to mention to our many, many viewers?
Well, look, let's just keep the rugby theme going. I mean, Joe, as you know, I mean, the places that my wife and I spend our time, one is on special education. She's the chairman of the board of the trustees at Eagle Hill School, which is why we moved to Greenwich, to put my eldest son in that. And I spend my time on the rugby and the community stuff. So I'll push rugby one more time, which is, it looks like we're going to be able to get a season away this coming spring. Let's see where other sports get, but I think it's a great opportunity for people to come and try the game. And in particular, I would really encourage, girls to come and try it. We're co-ed up through U12 for sure. And if we get enough, we'll have separate teams at the U14 and up level. It's a fabulous game. You play both directions. Everybody plays offense. Everybody plays defense. Everybody gets the ball. And it's a great group of people, a very international group, lots of Argentines, English, Irish. It's a bit of a different community than many of the activities I've been involved with here in town. And so it's kind of fun from that perspective, and come give it a try.
Fantastic. It's an eclectic mix of just, well, that's what I love about Greenwich. The fact it's not just one type of person here at Greenwich. We have a wonderful mix, and the schools are great based on the fact we have a great mix, and you guys at the old Greenwich. And Jeff, one last thing I want to talk about, and Tim, I'm sorry, we might go a minute or two long, but I'm so excited about Gary Delabate might be joining us next week on the program, and he is spearheading the project to renovate the Eastern Greenwich Civic Center, where you're headquartered out of. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, look, we're very excited. That building's been in dire straits for a long time, and I think it's a fabulous thing that the town's figured out a way to try to move forward on the project. I think from our perspective, we would have obviously liked to have a field house there or field improvements happen at the same time, but we understand budgetary constraints and certain other issues that get involved. But I think it's a fabulous thing to move forward on for the town, so that, I think we've got a great home for many activities and community programs, not just ours, but all of them that can run out of that place. And I'd like to see ground get broken as soon as possible, honestly.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be great. Well, we're only optimists on this show, aren't we, Tim? Just an optimistic show. And who's more optimistic than the three knuckleheads on the screen right now? Fantastic. Jeff, thank you very much for coming on. I do appreciate it. Thanks very much. I look forward to seeing you soon when world becomes normal. Yes, Tim. Tim has something to ask.
We have viewers, posting questions, so we're going to have to address these because we love our viewers. James Daly, I don't know if you know him, but he mentioned that that Greenwich Rugby is looking to become a club rather than a program. What did you mean by that?
So most of the OGRCC programs are that. They are, soccer, baseball, a bunch of teams. This is a little bit different in that, rugby traditionally has been standalone clubs. They would have a clubhouse. They'd have their own fields. You'd have social events. Rugby is a very, very social game. It's one of the rare things where you go and certainly at the adult level, you smash into each other, knock each other around, incredibly aggressive. And then you go out and you have dinner and drink together. And it's part of the culture. And so having that club feel means, I have my club tie on, my Greenwich Rugby club tie. It's more of a home than just something you sign up for, I guess, is the short version of that.
You're here.
Gotcha. Very good. And then we have a former guest on the show, Mark, was on last week. He said, "Did you ever play against Army?"
I did not play against Army, and I'm glad. One of my best friends from the business school team played, and he's now 53, and he still goes back and plays the alumni game and lays out some of the kids that are in college now. I would have not enjoyed playing Army, I don't think.
Well, Mark Grund in the Army game he was on last week, he mentioned he got hit in the head. He's never been the same since. Poor Mark. But
well, I think most of us can say that, Joe.
What? Exactly. Great. All right. Well,
All right.
What a wonderful conversation, Jeff. It was great. I got to know more about you than I knew. That's the advantage of this program, where I bring people on that I know, and I ask them questions I just don't ask them in real life. So great. So
happy to do it. I'm sorry we ran long. Nice to meet you too, Tim.
All good. Yes. Great. Good to see you, and I'll see you around town.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys. Good night now.